Big news on the legal front, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump's lawyers are filing as we speak to move that case with Alvin Bragg, remember the hush money one, and the Stormy Daniels one, and Judge Merchan right out of New York. They want to hightail it out of New York and into federal court. Now, this is kind of important because if they're successful in doing this, guess what? The whole case is gone. Dun, 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 over, done. Because the Supreme Court ruled that, you know what? You can't go after a president like this. So it's pretty fascinating how they've just gone and gone and gone and gone back again. And they have not allowed him thus far to be able to move. They did renew, however, the request. This just came out with the Manhattan-based Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. And they're appealing U.S. District Judge Alvin Hellerstein's September 3rd ruling, which rejected the shift to the federal court. So, of course, as you recall, he was convicted back in May of 34 counts, felony accounts against him. It was really something he was not too happy at the time, called it election interference, etc. Let's go back to that day.
The government just said that they want 2 to 3 more weeks. That means they want to keep me off the trail for 2 to 3 more weeks. Now, anybody in there would realize that there's no case. They don't have a case. Every legal scholar says they don't have a case. This is just a political witch hunt. It's election interfering. And this is really, truly election interference, and it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And in every poll, I'm leading by a lot. And they figure maybe they can do something here. Maybe they can do. This case should be over. This case should have never been brought. By the way, Alvin Bragg didn't want to bring the case. Your previous DA didn't bring the case. The FEC said they threw it away. They said, you got to be kidding. Southern District didn't bring the case. Nobody brought the case. And then Alvin Bragg brought the case as soon as, when I'm running and leading, that's when they decided, let's go bring a case. So it's a disgrace. But we just heard 2 to 3 more weeks. I thought they were finished today. And they are finished today if you look at what's happening. I thought they were going to be finished today, and they want 2 to 3 more weeks. The judge asked them, and playing right into the judge's hands. The judge is so happy about 2 to 3 more weeks. Because they all want to keep me off the campaign trail. That's all this is about. This is about election interference. How do we stop it?
So that was back in May. They went back in July. They tried to appeal, and they tried to get this into federal court. They cited the U.S. Supreme Court's July 1st decision saying that former presidents cannot be prosecuted for official actions taken in office. And in the case, they said jurors had improperly seen evidence of Trump's official acts as president. His lawyers say that the state charges effectively intruded on the authority of the presidency under the U.S. Constitution. So here's where it stands right now. They're going back again. And if this is overturned, and there's a really good chance that it could be, because look, I mean, this was a wild case. He said Alvin Bragg didn't even want to bring it, and his predecessor didn't want to bring it. And then there was all this pressure. You better bring it, you better bring it, you better bring it. Heck, they're trying to reward Letitia James for her disaster, her $500 million civil fraud. That was what the fine was, nearly $500 million. And they're, she's trying to flee the place before they reverse that one, which is going to happen any day now. And now this. So what I anticipate is it's going to go through a few iterations here, and they're going to keep going and going. But ultimately, what happens there is that you're going to have the Supreme Court's immunity ruling come into effect. And once that comes into effect, then it's going to be really difficult for them to move forward on this. So in this case, I guess it goes to the Second Circuit, which if they rule against Trump, then he could go to the Supreme Court with the 6-3 conservative majority, perhaps then voting in his favor. It's really messy, obviously. We all know that. We don't like it. And I really question the essence of what they're trying to do. I mean, we saw this with Letitia James, right? Letitia James now is looking increasingly like, she wants to run for the next mayor position of New York City. Letitia James, who we had to sit through saying stuff like this.
He's called me venomous.
We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City.
He's called me disgraceful.
Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president
called me radical.
Listen, we know he's crazy. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. We know he's out of control. We know he's losing it. We know his days are numbered and we will come together.
He's called me a racist.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale.
Unbelievable. So you remember her. So she's another one that's about to have egg on her face, and she's trying to, run for the exit as fast as she can. As fast as she can, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, she's trying to run right into Eric Adams' spot there in the city of New York. Letitia James is trying to become the mayor of New York. Why? Because, she needs a pit stop here in her big political career, because it's over there in the AG's office. Any day now, that case is going to be reversed. You've heard the judges. I've played you. Actually, I think last Thursday we did a whole thing on it because I went through all of the testimony and I showed you every single clip of these judges that are questioning why on earth she's going after him in a private case and trying to use a law that was meant for the public in a private case.
It was using...
I'm sorry, but what's being described sounds an awful lot like a potential commercial dispute between private actors.
Well, to go back to the first question about whether there's other examples of this, there are other examples of this. In the First American case, the Attorney General brought a 6312 case where the transaction at issue was between a very big bank, Wells Fargo, and a professional appraisal firm.
But it wasn't the concern there that the public would ultimately be negatively impacted and affected by what those corporate actors were doing.
And that concern is here as well, because when you have hidden risks getting injected into the market, that hurts the market and honest participants in the market. And the legislature also decided, contrary to what defendants think, that making sure that business in New York stays honest is the way to attract and keep business in New York.
Okay, all right. So you know what? Like, the judges were all, except for that one lady at the end, they were all like, "You're high." Like, what are you talking about? I mean, this is not Lehman Brothers, right? This is an individual transaction with two sophisticated players. Nobody was harmed. There's no one saying, "Hey, you know what? I got hurt in this transaction." In fact, everybody's happy. So why is Letitia James inserting herself in the middle, except that, well, we know why, right? She wanted to bankrupt him. That was the goal. And so when your legal process becomes all about some witch hunt to go after somebody who's your political enemy, I think you got a problem. Just saying. So I think you got a situation with the Bragg case that's going to wind up getting shut down because of the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. You got a situation with Letitia, baby, who's just not a very good lawyer, and runs the risk actually of getting disbarred because of this political vendetta that she had against Donald Trump. You have the Congresswoman from New York, Elise Stefanik, who's hot on the trail, demanding in a 64-page letter to the Professional Committee of New York, demanding that they come forward and that they sanction her by disbarring her because this is not appropriate behavior. And the Attorney General should not be doing this. I mean, it's so bad that one of the judges actually came out and said, we need to do something to protect people from an Attorney General like this. Yeah. You know what? Because you do need to be protected. Hey, quick shout out to the shop. Some of you guys were asking about the Live Free or Die mug. You can get that, just in time for Christmas. If you go over to the trishregan.shop, everyone, trishregan.shop, we get all the paraphernalia for the show there. All the swag, as the kids would say. Do they call it swag anymore? There may be a new, hotter, more exciting name, but all the good stuff there, and you can help support the show at trishregan.shop. But I'll tell you, the left is getting really nervous. They're getting really nervous because you've seen the polls, I've seen the polls.